Fuzzy dice, check. WackerCon bobblehead doll, check. Diesel incense, check. Cool. Look at me, I'm a taxi cab driver.
What is
Go
going
down the
on,
street,
everyone?
stop potential riders. Hey girl,
to another
where you going?
fantastic
What's up, dude?
Wednesday.
I'll take you there if you got that loot. Are you checking me? I'm just
On the
a
Exploding
taxi
Nights camera, I was turning down my mic instead of the music. That's not a thing you want to do. This cannot be just a music stream. How is it going, everyone? We are, thank you for joining us for a special extra episode of Fuzzy Dice this week. As you can see, I'm hanging out right over here with my new best friend,
Hooray.
the one and only Holly Conrad, who is... it looked in Zoom, it looked like you were looking really intently
I know.
at me.
I'm trying to move my head so that I'm not in like a weird place, but
It's
it's
all
not
right, I
working.
got it.
I think I'm okay. I think
No,
we're okay
we're
now.
fine. We're good.
Okay, cool.
I got you. How is it going, Holly? What's going on with you?
I'm good. Yeah. I just helped my friend Heidi finish a squid head for Comic-Con, a Splatoon squid. So that is we're done helping her with that. It came out great. So I'm excited that is done, and that's pretty much it. I was working on a bunch of D&D stuff that I can't talk about, as we talked before we went live, and I was like, well, it's all very exciting, but I can't talk about it. Maybe
Just,
you'll find out soon.
We have a censor button, so
Yeah.
like live TV, we'll just keep it out.
Right. Well, it is all very great, and it's going to be very, very cool when it's out. But...
Well, before we get into all that stuff that we can't actually talk about, tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, who are you? What do you get up to? And how did you get here specifically?
Yeah, so I do YouTube and streaming and all of that as Commander Holly. That's my YouTube name. And I guess I got involved in all this because I started cosplaying a very, very long time ago. And I actually, before I cosplayed, I was like a member of the SCA and did like leather armor, and I did Ren fairs and stuff like that. And my first cosplay was actually a tiefling from D&D, and inspired by Neverwinter Nights, the game. I don't know if you guys ever played that. I loved playing Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter Nights, Icewind Dale, like Planescape Torment. Those were all like my favorite games. So I ended up making costumes based off of some of those things, including a 12-foot tall Lady of Pain costume that was on an old scooter. Yeah. So that was super fun. Yeah, and I've always just loved that stuff. And I just kind of fell into doing YouTube over the years. I worked in special effects for like 4 years. I worked for Robot Chicken. I worked for like Disney and DreamWorks doing like walk around costumes. So I kind of turned my cosplay into a career, and then was like, I kind of want to do something else. So then I kind of just fell into YouTube. And as far as falling into the D&D stuff, like my friend Jared, Pro Jared, who's also on Dice Camera Action, we were friends from doing YouTube stuff together, and he had also been on a show with my husband Ross, who's also on YouTube. And he just knew that I loved D&D, and so when they were looking for people for the show, he was just like, yeah, Holly. And I was like, yes, please. Because I had also been in an Eberron game that had just like fallen apart, so I was just like, I needed a game too. Like I just like actually also needed a game. I was like, I don't care if it's live, I just want to play.
I absolutely empathize with that feeling. You know what? I wish people ask me to be in games more often. It's mostly like, hey, do you want to play D&D? And I'm like, yes. And like, cool. You're the DM.
And that's where I am now. Like that's what I feel like, and I feel like Jared has dealt with this a lot because he's DM'd a lot more than me. And it's like, as soon as you're the person who knows how to DM, they're just like, oh yeah, you could just get to be the DM. And I'm like, well, but I don't want to play too. But I love DMing too. I really do. And I used to DM in college. I DM'd like a really dumb like X-Men game and like a bunch of other dumb stuff. But like I don't know. It's a different experience, but it's just as rewarding.
Yeah. I actually I find these days I am a better DM than I am a player, not because I'm a particularly good DM, but when I'm a player, it's like you don't have all those things orbiting your head about like pace and what's going on and dialogue and what happens next and are we running over time? Can I end on a like all that stuff? If I don't have that in my head, I end up just sort of if you're from an art background, figure drawing, when you do the progressively
Yes, yeah.
shorter figure sketch, it's sort of like that. It feels like having too much time and not knowing what to do with it all. And that's
That is
me as a
totally
player.
true.
And
That
I
is-
just end up zoning out.
That's so funny.
So we are actually going to get into a whole bunch of D&D topics and stuff, but before that, I just want to give a couple of announcements, some channel stuff, and a welcome to everyone who is hanging out. If you guys have not already, please consider hitting that retweet link. Dice Thulu's got it for you right there. Tell all your friends that we're hanging out and doing fuzzy dice. It's always a good time. We are, of course, going to be taking your questions and stuff from chat in the second half of the show, so keep those handy. Just lock them in. Don't forget them, because we don't want to lose your questions. Generally, they'll probably skip past me. I'll miss them in the first half, but keep them for the second half. We will get to as many as we can. As for announcements, I've talked about some of this a little bit, but we are gearing up. I just got my materials sent to me. We are gearing up for the big Gen Con event. Gen Con is in, I think, just less than a month now, and I am going to be DMing for Cobalt Press. I'm going to be working with my friends over there. They just sent me the module that I'm the only one that's running it this year. It's an exclusive Gen Con event. And all of the tickets have sold out. I'm so excited about that. So if you're going to be at Gen Con, I cannot wait to see all you guys. Make sure you hit me up on Twitter and say hi so I can get in touch with you. And we can, have high five. And maybe I can give you some free stuff, because I'll be carrying around a lot of stuff to give out. I love giving out stuff. It's a bug. I caught the bug. Second is, we just announced this recently, but starting this Sunday is the very first episode of our brand new and very first Mouse Guard campaign here on Exploding Dice. That's going to be Sunday at 10 p.m. Eastern. It's a little bit out of our time zone, normal time zone, but it's so you guys don't, because everyone was like, no, not 9. I want to see Game of Thrones and watch this show. So we pushed it back an hour for all of you guys.
Yeah, man, you can't miss Game of Thrones or D&D.
I didn't know it was gonna be a thing until we were doing our off-stream test game this past Sunday, and like my Twitter just lit up with Game of Thrones stuff. So, and then when we announced it, everyone's like, "No, I can't do both." So we pushed it back an hour for you guys. That is going to be DM'd by our good friend on the Forefronts from Writhing Moon, and it's played by me. That bronze girl from Hyper RPG, you may know her from her Open Legend games over there. Simply JXN, who is an amazing artist and creative streamer, and Drunkly Romantic, who is a regular on Hyper RPG. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Great cast. Definitely tune in for that. And of course, if you're here for the first time, Wednesdays we don't normally have Fuzzy Dice. We have Iron Gods, which is a sci-fi fantasy campaign that is coming back next week for Season 2. It's got robots, it's got magic, it's got cool stuff. Definitely tune in for that. That's 8 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. That is all the announcements that I have for right now. We'll talk about a little bit of stuff at the end of the show, but let's just jump right into it. So Holly, you were talking about a little bit how you kind of you do your own DMing stuff outside of your very prominent Twitch and YouTube stuff. Where do you kind of start? Like, where does your experience in D&D begin? Like, where'd you get or role-playing games in general?
Yeah, so it's funny because I always loved RPGs on the computer. That's really where I started learning about them. Was I played King's Quest and Quest for Glory and all those old PC games. And Return to Krondor, I think I played that when I was like 11.
Oh, I remember.
So,
yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that was a good one. And so I loved all of those. And then when I got to late middle school, high school, I found out that it was a tabletop game. And I didn't know that. And I just thought they were PC games. Like, I was a big fan of the BioWare games and all of that growing up. I was like, wait, this is a tabletop game? I can do whatever I want? And I was like, immediately just like found all the books. Like, my friends and I tried to start a D&D club at our high school. Like, our principal called us into the office to ask if we were going to be using blood for the sacrifices. Yeah, real.
Like on the real, or is that like a...
No, he was like a full-on satanic panic guy.
Oh,
like,
I love
full on.
I love it.
Yeah. So that's cool. Needless to say, the club disbanded.
But did you actually use blood for the?
No, we didn't. We should have just to freak him out. But
what else are you gonna use?
I don't know. So that's a good indication of where that came from. Yeah. So and then I ended up falling in love with the Planescape setting and Tony DiTerlizzi's artwork.
Oh my god.
And his artwork, it was like pretty much the inspiration for all of my artwork. Like I learned to draw by reading D&D books. Like that's like how I learned to draw. It was looking at the art in D&D books and history books and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so his art was a huge inspiration to me. And I didn't get to DM in high school, but I did DM a little bit in college. And now I'm finally DMing my own Planescape game, like not on camera, just with some of my friends. So we usually meet like once a month because everyone's like, it's like all my friends like from all other YouTube channels like Aaron and Susie who are from Game Grumps, and my friend Chad who also does like all these people that are crazy, busy, talented, successful people, and I'm just like, come play D&D. But it's a hilarious game. Like it's funny because I learned so much. I learned so much from being in Chris's game. Mm-hmm. And like I've learned to be a way better DM for being in his game and being a better, even with the players in our game. Like I feel like I've just gotten so much better just the past year from just being on his game. But despite that, the last episode or the last like game when we all played ended in gorilla sex. So I'm like, you know what? I can't Dragonborn sex. And I'm like, I can't stop the gorilla Dragonborn sex. It's just gonna it just happens.
Are we talking like the animal gorilla or like hiding in the bushes and then like ambush?
No. So the gorilla is our friend who likes gorillas, and he was a druid who got stuck in wild shape form as a gorilla.
That sounds. Oh my god! What was that old book series that was like that? Animorphs.
Yeah, Oh my god, I love Animorphs so much.
It's about a hawk a guy who got stuck in a bird body.
And that was Tobias. I had a crush on him.
Wait, as a bird or?
Both.
It's like now does he have to go out with birds? Is that just how it is?
Yeah, he just has to date birds. You know.
They don't provide good conversation. You know.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I love Animorphs. But yeah, so that's like, I feel like I've gotten a lot better as a DM in the sense that I just like, I want people to have fun, even if it involves like the most absurd things that they want to do. So. Yeah.
It's, we were actually, cause you mentioned this, we were talking yesterday, and one of the topics that kind of kept coming up was just how sort of inspiring and how much it changes the experience when you find a group that you just kind of click with and just you know you can play with, and it doesn't matter like how weird things get or whatever. It's like, you know, it's a group that just makes the game for you, and how much of a different experience it is.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And that's how I feel about Dice Camera Action. Like it's just like I've never had a group that's so passionate about a game, like and our like I don't know, it's just like our interactions and everything. It's like I've never had such a cool D&D group, and I feel really lucky to be a part of it.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting because that's I think it was I literally was gonna say something, but I forgot what it is. No, but my brain is shot today. I was out in the heat today, and I had to mow the lawn.
I'm sorry.
I'm now in my air conditioner and drinking, and this is just I'm about to fall asleep.
I understand. I stopped to get coffee, like when I was out getting groceries. I was like, I'm gonna this is gonna be bad if I don't get coffee.
So you were talking about the Planescape stuff. Were you I guess that was that the third edition Planescape, or was it the older?
Second edition.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second edition is the books that I collect that have all the DiTerlizzi art. And I just finally, after like over 10 years of collecting this stuff, I finally got the box set like 2 years ago, because I was just like, oh, I have to save up for the box set.
I've never really been a physical book collector until just recently. And
really?
I never really had any physical D&D books. My friends had all the books, and then when I got into, I was out of role-playing games, D&D for a very, like, I started when I was like 13 at summer camp, and then I got out of it for a while because I was off doing other things. And then when I got, the thing that actually brought me back into D&D was, and I mentioned this before, was Roll20, was the advent of being able to game online, because by the time I actually got the bug again, I was college/post-college, all my friends had kind of moved away, you know, and it was like, either go down to the game store and hope you find some people that you like,
right.
or...
I've done that, which I have done. like I've done that a couple times, and it's rough.
Oh,
It is rough.
I actually walked into my local hobby shop for the first time in like 7 years, and I went in there to get some paints, because I've been doing some mini painting on stream, and I needed some paints that I didn't have. And the same guy is still working there, and he is just as unpleasant as I remember.
Yeah, like, it's like, man, why you gotta be unpleasant? Like, you have like a cool job. Like, just enjoy yourself, you know? It's like I remember I tried to join the role-playing game club when I studied medieval history in college, so my degree is in medieval history. And I went to Edinburgh University in Scotland, and I was there, and I tried to join the RPG club. I was like, I want a group to play RPGs with. Like, this is what I love. I want to do this. So I go in there, and like I sit down, like, yeah, I'm just going to make a new character and play some D&D. And like, one of the people at the table was like, do you have the character sheet memorized? And I was like, what? No.
That's fucking
Like,
hilarious.
who would have it memorized?
Wait, hold on.
like,
The character sheet? Like,
no, yeah, like the blank character sheet memorized.
I mean, I
like-
know what goes into a character, but...
I know. I was like, I mean, but I need a character sheet. You're just not going to give me one? Like, I don't think...
No, draw it
I
from
was just
memory
like,
or you're
yeah.
out.
I was just like, okay. And I just left, and then just like kept playing
love
Neverwinter
it.
Nights 2 on my computer alone.
Just making
'Cause I
your own
was like-
campaigns.
Yeah, I was just like, what? Like, I was like, well, don't be mean. Like, I feel like it's gotten a lot better now that like people are way less. I don't even know what it is. I think they're just defensive. I don't know, but
The thing that's been so interesting, and I've talked about this in various forms a lot recently, but because I was one of those kids who, like, I knew some people in high school and college, but I didn't have a ton of friends, especially a ton of friends to play D&D with. Very few of my friends were even interested in that shit, and so it was, back in the day when you wanted to play, you didn't really get to choose who you got to play with, right?
right, yeah, absolutely.
You kind of just got who you got, and it was like, if your friends wanted to play something different than you, what are you gonna do about it? You don't have any more.
Right.
But so I was one of those people that was always kind of waiting and looking for a tool, because I knew a ton of people online, and we were all waiting for a tool that we should be able to play D&D online. This seems like an easy thing to do. Why
Right.
hasn't anyone done it yet?
Right.
So when Roll20 came out, I think it was one of the things that sort of changed the game in a big way, because with the advent of things like this, it's like now you kind of can choose who you play with, right? You can find people who look for the same things and want the same things and like the same things as you do, and it's
Right.
not a big deal.
And you're on your computer. I mean, you don't have to leave your house, which like that is the hardest thing about D&D is to be
Oh, yeah.
like, I need you to come to my house and play a game for 12 hours.
And
'Cause
you have to wear pants the whole time.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I can't win every battle, but like it's like you can at least just have to show up. Like I make snacks, I do the whole thing. I like playing for like 8 hours. Like I like playing for a long time, like a whole day. Because that's like how I did it in high school. It's like you got together, you played the whole day. Like whether it was bad or good, or like, I mean, my DM in high school that's a whole other story. But like it's you played the whole day with snacks and fun, and that's what you did. But like,
before streaming, that was the way I ran things. It's like before I was on Twitch, when I was DMing on just Roll20 for, and finding groups of friends and playing stuff like that, like it wasn't unusual for me to run 6-hour sessions, right? Like way into the wee hours of the morning, because we all liked, and like I remember the first session of a game, we did a new campaign, and the first session I did was like 7 hours, not because I mean, we kind of kept playing for 7 hours, but it was also because there was like no natural stopping point. Like they were in a dungeon and they just wanted to get to the end of it,
Right.
so they played through the whole thing, and you know, you obviously, like, you can't do that when you're on Twitch, or, you know, now it's like you gotta kind of, I like the one of the biggest things that changed how I DM actually is when I started on another channel, and their on Twitch, their time slot, I was DMing 4-hour games on Twitch, and their time slot was 3 hours. So they said, you have 3 hours, which is more like 2 hours 45 with, you know, announcements and all that stuff. So it's like, you have 2 hours and 45 minutes to fit a whole session in, right? And for me, it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, how am I gonna do that? Like, that's nothing. What am I even getting? But, you know, it really did. I think it changed and sort of refined a lot of how I look at the game and how I run each session, and, you know, pace things, and just
Yeah.
It's a really interesting exercise as a DM. I still, you know, I have a home game on Fridays that I can just sort of chill out, and, you know, no pressure. I can do whatever I want. I could run,
Right.
you know, as long as I want. But yeah, it's sort of a different landscape, especially when you're doing the live stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you watch Dice Camera Action, like, Chris is like a master at timing. I don't know how he does it. I really don't. I don't know how he times it so every episode ends on some kind of, I know he has to be like, you know, just rolling with it and being like, okay.
Yeah, I was
like,
gonna say.
Like, I know he's doing that. Like, I know a lot of, like, some of it is improv, obviously, and just like reacting on what we do. But like, it's still like to the outside audience, it seems like he just has magic powers.
Yeah, and it's that whole thing is the sort of keeping every episode and every session like on a tight pace, and then ending on a cliffhanger is, I think, one of the biggest things that I always try and do, because, like, in my head when I DM on stream now, I always have a clock running, right? It's like, how much time is left? Are they getting into a combat? Are they getting into a negotiation? Is the pace dying down? Is it getting too tense, right? How much time do I need to budget for this? Do I need to cut something out? And then it's looking ahead, okay, what's going on? What kind of cliffhanger can I end on here, right? And that's running that in your head as a DM, even when you're not on stream, I think is a really effective tool that can kind of help you keep especially if you have players that are prone to sort of like drift out of focus.
Yes.
And, you know,
I can't roll my eyes hard enough at my game. Yes, my players will drift out of focus. No, they have a lot of fun, actually. It's just like, they're all very new, so like it's just funny when, like, it's like Aaron will just get tired and just go like sleep on the couch, and I'm just like, you can't go sleep on the couch. Like, I know it's not a bad game because like Jared's in it too, and I'm like, Jared, am I a bad DM? And he's like, no, you're great. And I'm like, why is Aaron falling asleep on the couch? And he's like, I don't know. So I'm like, cool, thanks, that's great. So at least every session I have one friend who just passes out. Oh, actually, I ran a game with Ross and his parents, who had never. So my husband Ross, he's part of Game Grumps. If any of the chat knows that channel,
I've never heard of it.
Is a YouTube channel, and they're way more popular than I am.
We're hoping with this shout out they're gonna blow up pretty big. So they're much more popular than I am in any sort of capacity. But I played a game for his parents, and his dad had never played, or his dad had bought the D&D books in the early 80s, like late 70s. He doesn't have them anymore, which made me very sad. But he had never played, and so I actually DM'd a game for him and his parents. And his dad made a great character, like a bard named like Cadfell, and like we were in the middle of Ireland because his parents are Irish, and so we were in like the Irish countryside, and like I was DMing this game, and his mom named her character Cranky Pants, and then fell asleep on the couch. And I was like, is there something wrong with my DMing? The Cranky Pants when fell asleep on the couch? Like, it was 2 for 2. So. I have a problem, and this is what I do when I'm on stream. No, I don't think any of the viewers or my players know this, but I am constantly like, my eyes, I'm always like looking at each player's face, and I'm trying to see, are they engaged right now? Do they look bored? Do they like, are they not like excited right now, and then if that's the case, it's like, okay, what can I do to fix this? Am I
Right.
sucking right now? Is everyone hating this?
No, that's the thing, is like you're not. Like you're doing great, and I'll ask, like Jared is in my game, my Planescape game.
Mhm.
Like he's kind of co-DMing with me because I kind of just like want to get better as a DM, and he's an amazing DM.
Yeah.
And so like he'll give me advice and stuff, and I'm like, so I know he would tell me if it was boring. Like, but it's just funny.
Or would he?
Or he would. No, he would. We could tell each other our DMing tips. It's fine. But it's like, it's just funny. That's the pressure of DMing versus playing. When playing, you're just like, whatever.
It's I don't know. It is a lot of fun though. Like I really, for me it's almost like a puzzle, of trying to keep all the players kind of juggling their attention and trying to keep them engaged. And usually I think I have a trick, and I don't know if anyone's caught on to this, but whenever I see a player that looks like they're really just tuning out or they're not like getting into it or something, I will just drop something in specifically for them, like
That's smart.
like a backstory clue or something, or just like a person who mentions something that has to do with them, right? Even if I have not planned for it at all, like it's just like I have my DM style is very much I will throw this out there and then I will deal with the consequences later when I prep the next session.
I have totally done that. Not though. I will probably steal that for later too. If I see someone zoning out, and just like drop something in for their character. But I have just like randomly put something in and be like, I like this, and then after the game, I'm like, what was that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, I'm horrible at notes too, which is why like I rely on my players to like remember
Right.
stuff, because I always
oh my
forget-
god.
I always forget to write down the things that I add in.
I wish I had that problem. I like go crazy in notes. Like before I start a session, because like having been a history major, I was used to having like 50 books in my room. So I will get all the books out, like all of them. I'll have this like book stack below the table that have like little like notes in them with like notes on the notes and then everything. And then at that point, I've now overwhelmed myself. And like I just like it looks like I'm just like in a crazy like mage tower with books all over me, and that's pretty much it.
I see. That's the thing is, I don't have time anymore to prep notes like that. Because of the streaming stuff, and because I work. Usually, what I do is at work, like about an hour and a half to 2 hours before I leave, I will literally like grab 2 sheets of paper and just write down stuff. Like, my notes very very often look like this. It's just like a block of stuff that's information or characters that I want to make sure I hit during the session. And then under that, I divide the page, and under that, it's each character's name and like something that I'm gonna do for their story this session, right?
Oh, that's smart. Yeah.
So it's like one major reveal and then one piece of plot for every player, and sometimes I don't get to all of it, but that's generally my notes, because I tend to write this stuff down and then never look at it. It's just the act of writing it actually helps me remember.
Actually, I wrote that down in my notes so I can remember to do that next time. That's a good tip. Just to have like one character have a plot point and then like one major like campaign plot point.
Yeah, I find that having one big overarching, like one big step forward in the plot and then a small bit for every player's story is enough to keep everything feeling like it's moving and no one feeling like they're getting bored. Because I've had that sort of conversation with players a few times, as players tell me like, oh, I feel this is this guy's story and not my story, and it's
right.
Well, it is 4 players and we can't be dealing with everyone's backstory or everyone's plot line or character arc at the same time, but I make concessions and I'm trying to get better at that.
Yeah, that's another thing again about Dice Camera Action is like we have such a good dynamic when it comes to character spotlights.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like, well, Chris does an amazing job making each character have some sort of trial, and it's like again like it's just amazing how he does it so that we all have our own little intertwining stories.
Mm-hmm.
But also like when another character is being featured, like we're all like totally into it. We're just like, yes, what are they gonna do? Like this is our party. We're like a family, and like we need to see what happens. So it's like I want to get like my home game to the point where like my Dice Camera Action game is, to where everyone feels like they have that kind of connection with each other.
You know what, that's the thing though, is I find that like any game I join or any new game I run, it's like, yes, I want that dynamic, but it's not, sometimes it just doesn't happen, or it happens in a different way, and it's like, am I not doing something here? Am I forcing it? Like, is it just gonna happen? Do we need more time? I don't know. Like, I haven't cracked that code yet. Like, it might just be a level of comfort that the players have with each other. It might just be some players just don't, get into things that way. I don't know.
Right.
I haven't answered that yet, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it's some people are so different in general. It's just like you never know the dynamic that's going to happen.
Yeah, no, definitely. And people in chat are talking about some of this. I actually really liked this particular thing that Ryujin Zero said. He says, if combat runs long, it loses me, back when we were talking about pacing and stuff. And that's really interesting, because the thing about combat is I am always watching for whether players are getting bored in combat and stuff. And it's actually a lesson I learned a very long time ago. In my home group, we play Pathfinder, and I've been playing with those guys for like 3 years now. And we had a fight a long time ago, where it was of these really small enemies that were like, they had really high stealth checks, and they could go invisible. So basically they were like zipping around the room, like sneak attacking all the players, and then just jumping back into the shadows. And basically the players are playing like cat and mouse and not getting anywhere in this fight. And probably 6 rounds into the fight of just nothing, one of the players was like, all right, like, I'm checked out here. Like, I'm just not interested in this anymore. And it was a pretty big wake-up call for me after that. After that, I'm really paying attention to the pace and the, how everyone's energy level in every combat. And so when you say if a player, like he says, is losing it, as a DM, like, I always give myself permission to dump out of anything. Like, any scene, any combat, it's just hit the eject button, right? Like, find a way out of it.
And there's so many ways you can do that, too. Like, someone shows up, like an NPC shows up. Like, there's so many ways to hit the eject button, too. My encounters are always too easy. Like, I'm still working on getting it so that I not pace them right, but just like make them scary enough while also making them like not frustrating. That's so hard. It's just hard to do.
It is, and it's really, combat difficulty is really interesting, because, and something I've learned over the years is player perception is always very different than the DM perception, because for example, like, I've run combats where the players like pinned and grappled, pinned, and completely restrained an enemy, right? He ended up doing no damage to any of the players, but at the end of the fight, they're like, wow, that was close, like, that was hard. And, and
you're like, oh, okay.
and then like, these big fights that I set up with like bosses, they sometimes just one-shot because the barbarian crits, and he does like 150 damage.
Right.
My players are level 9 in Pathfinder right now, and they're very hard to challenge. I have to get up early in the morning to put a challenge out for them.
Yeah, I totally get that. It's like, it's just like, I feel like that's my still one of my biggest challenges that I'm getting better at, is just I really want to make each combat encounter really meaningful as much as the story points, but that can be very difficult just because it's like in my last game with the gorilla dragonborn sex, I made it so like, okay, they were doing that. I was like, and they rolled a 20. It's a long story.
Yeah.
So in the middle of that, I was like, okay, my big bad is going to send 2 shadow demons after them right now. I'd already planned on having the shadow demon or the shades come up anyway, but it was funnier because they appeared in this situation and the combat just became this like hilarious like beatdown of these shadow demons while it was great. So that was just a decision I made that I was pretty happy with that combat encounter, and it was funny but also entertaining.
Yeah, in my combats these days, it's different for different games. 5th edition, I think, has a little bit more leeway because it's easier to balance in 5th edition. Pathfinder's a little bit harder because I tend to make the encounters more cinematic than actually difficult.
Right.
They look more threatening than they actually will be in practice.
Right.
Because I know no matter, like, especially when it comes to NPCs, like, if I put an NPC on the field, they're probably gonna get trashed. It's most likely gonna happen. But luckily, like my players and players in a lot of games, I think will give the DM a lot of leeway, especially when it comes to NPCs. Like, one of my players in my Pathfinder game is he took a bite of a vampire heart, so he's like a sort of a 1/4 vampire, and he actually serves a vampire lord. Now he doesn't. I've never built the stats for this vampire lord because I haven't needed to. But in his mind, he's had 2 encounters with the guy, and in his mind, this dude is the biggest badass. So when he shows up, like the guy, this barbarian who has an adamantine scythe that can crit kill anything in one shot, is terrified of his lord.
That's hilarious.
And like that's how I try and use the scene to sort of make the encounter scarier. Also,
I mean, it's like every time that Strahd appears in our game, it's like, we could kill him.
You could fight, Mechanically, it's there. I mean, yeah.
And now we're level 9. Like, if he showed up, we could probably kill him. But, like, we're all too terrified to even do anything. We just scream and run. It's so sad.
Yeah.
But it's because it's cinematic, like you said.
Yeah, and it's for me, when players kind of it's one of those things where, like, I love when, and this is something that has always interested. I don't know if it's like it's part of the showmanship of it, or it's just the players are actually in that mindset. But if you watch Critical Role, they're level 18 now, I think, right? They're like, they're done with the game, and
that's god tier.
But and yet every fight they're still like, oh shit, I don't know if we can do this, guys. And it's like, you're really? I mean, really?
I think it'll be fine. Like, at this point, you could just be fighting Asmodeus, and you'd probably be okay. Like,
Asmodeus is my boy. Don't.
Oh man, yeah. I have a question for you. Actually, I was wondering this as another DM. So I made an NPC in my home game, and she sucked. I hated her. So I just they got to Sigil, and I was like, I did a Christmas special for them, which was super fun. I need to publish this one because I was really happy with it. There were ice methods. It like turned the whole inn into an ice skating rink, and there were like dancing lights. It was amazing.
Okay. Okay.
But after that, the NPC that I hated, I was just like, yeah, she's dead. She's in the doorway and she's dead. So I just like killed her, and I was like, a collector starts to like drag her body away to sell for money, and I'm like, are you gonna do anything? And they're like, no. They just watched her like get dragged away. But I was like, so as a DM, have you ever like made an NPC and just been like, oh my god, I hate this, and just like killed them? Because I feel bad for doing that, but I was like, I hate this character. I don't know what I'm doing with her. And I was like, I'm retconning this.
I don't think I've ever made an NPC that I personally hated. I've made NPCs that the players hate, and that's an interesting thing. I've had a lot of experiences where NPCs that are designed specifically for the players to like take to them as, as friendly characters, they just say no. Not happening. Not at all. They don't want it. I remember this one time we were playing a campaign called Jade Regent, and the party went into they went into this swamp to, hunt down some goblins because they were contracted to. And they were told that there's this warden, this guy that kind of like knows all about the swamp that they should probably go find. And so they get to his house, and he kind of opens up the door, and he's like really, really shifty, and they don't know what's going on. He's a little bit suspicious. And he's covered in snake bites. And eventually they deduce,
cool.
Eventually they deduce that he's not actually the real warden. He's a shapeshifter who has taken the warden's form because he kind of broke into the house and wanted to like steal the stuff. Whatever. So they fight this guy, they kill him, and then they're looking through the house. The warden is actually upstairs in a secret room, in like a hidden panic room. And so they actually find the panic room, and they knock on the wall, and the warden says, because he doesn't know who's outside, right? He just heard some commotion. He says, "Don't come in, I have a crossbow." And the players are like, what? And so they kick down the door, and what does he do? He fires the crossbow. Well, now, as soon as that happened, they decided, no, fuck this guy, we have to burn down his house.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
And so, like,
that's the worst.
I'm just sitting there like, really? Is this
Oh my
what
God.
is this how this situation's gonna go?
I have a very similar story, which is this is from a different game that will hopefully be coming out. So I'm not going to say who's in it. It's one of my secret games. But the incident was so funny. Like we were like crying. So like my friend was like, there was a potion seller just like selling potions before we get to this dungeon we're going to, and he's just a dude selling potions, just like some dude selling potions. And my friend is just like, I don't like this guy. I'm like, he's just selling potions. Like, it's not like a big deal. And like, it goes on for like a half an hour of him being like, I don't like this guy. Like, and literally, I don't know, can I curse? I can't curse,
Yes.
right?
Okay. No, this is G-rated stream.
Oh yeah, no swears. But yeah, so he just like, he like looks to the rest of us and he's just like, let's waste this fucker. And I was like, what? He's just a potion seller.
Was he like 2 feet away?
Yeah, like we were just trying to buy potions from this guy. Like, and yeah, my friend was just like, "Let's waste him," and I'm like, "No." He's like, "There's like no insight check." He was just like, "We're gonna waste him." I was like, "Oh my God!" Like, he was like, "He's shady," and I'm like, "He's not. He's just." I'm like, as a person who is DM'd, I'm like, he's here to provide us with a service. He's not shady.
I think you can never really account for how players are gonna approach things. I think it's the funniest. Like, I tend to create NPCs that I think would make entertaining interactions with players. I have this one go-to sort of personality that I use a lot, which is my weird, crazy wizard. And
Nice.
he shows up in like every game, and it's always the first thing that happened, like off the top of my head, is what he does. The first time, so in Curse of the Crimson Throne, they went into this guy's shop, and the first thing through the door, he's like, "No, don't step there. I just knocked over my invisible walking sticks," and the player's like, "What the fuck?"
Oh my
and
God,
so
that's amazing.
and so the player steps and he hears something break, and he's like,
Oh no.
He stepped on it, and so he is. I wish I was joking about this. That player has kept a shard of invisible wood in his inventory since level 2, and he's used
amazing.
it too.
That's a great voice too. The like batty old wizard
I
voice.
love
It's great.
my Broderick Quink voice. It goes everywhere with me.
It's amazing.
Oh God, what was I? I had something else that was gonna be that was related to that, but Lori. So there was a character that I thought my players were gonna kill instantly, right? She was a very obviously evil cleric woman in like a chainmail suit with hooks on it, and she had
Cool.
very obviously like killed a man and was using his intestines to like do a prayer ritual, like, and she talked like a mile a minute. She was very obviously not a good person. They fell
Right.
in love with her. They best friends.
No, that's like our group in Murderbot. Like literally, like our paladin and our bard, like Nate and Anna, will just like they keep this like killer like marionette from Ravenloft, and I'm like, don't keep that. And now it's back, and I'm like, oh my God, it's evil. It's tried to kill people like 4 times, and they're still this like.
It's like, no,
I
it's
love
just
this.
it's cute. It's cute.
It's not. It's not cute at all. It's terrible. So like Jared and I's characters are just like, no, this thing is bad. It's evil. And Anna, who's our paladin, and Nate are just like, no, we have to love it. It's our son. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't. Like, but Chris loves it. Like, I think as a DM and your players do something ridiculous like that, it's just you just run with it.
Yeah, because the thing about it is when players sort of connect to some whatever, like in any sort of character, whether it be, you know, a weird NPC that they should have no reason to even remember after this, you know, the scene that it's in, or, you know, a villain or an NPC, like any character they connect with as a DM, that's what you're after, right?
Right.
You know, and so if they're not paying attention to any of these other NPCs, but this one particular one seems to catch their attention or you know, draw them in some way, then, you know, finding a way to use that to your advantage is, you know, you're gonna be able to milk story out of that, right?
Yeah,
you already
for sure.
have their attention there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I replaced the NPC that I hated and killed with a Kenku bartender who's amazing. And I love this character because they can't really talk, so it's just like noises. So I love that. Like, and
I've
so
never
I
done
think
that
his
before.
name was his name is Clack or Clang. That's his name, and he's just a little Kenku who just walks around and like tries to like direct the party in the right way.
I don't think I've ever done a character that just speaks in noises. I might have, and I might not remember it, but I don't know.
They mimic, so they can mimic other people's voices and noises. So like they can only, the way they communicate is only mimicking, which I think is hilarious.
So do you just repeat what people say?
Yeah, and I kind of also like just kind of use it like in the sense that like he'll make like the noise of an alarm or make the noise of like if someone wants a drink, because he's a bartender, so he'll walk up to people when he wants a drink and like make the sound of like a pouring drink and be like, "You want a drink?"
Do you do all the sounds yourself, or do you just tell people what he's doing?
No, I narrate. Yeah.
Oh, if I was gonna do it, I'd do all the noises myself. Because I love voice acting. I'm horrible at it, but I love doing it.
See, I enjoy it. I just get like, I still get kind of nervous just in general when I'm just like, well, I sound weird, so I'm better at like narrating.
The answer is yes, and that's what makes it good.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. I've gotten the past like year from doing our show, I have gotten much better. So I think I'm only going to get better from here.
I see. Here's the thing: is I'm because I was talking to Troy from Glass Cannon yesterday, and he and I share the same thing in that we default almost everything. Our default is like a kind of a gruff, gravelly Cockney accent, because I don't know why. That's just the easiest voice to go to. I'm sure you don't have that problem.
No, I like, because doing Let's Plays on YouTube has also made me a better voice actor, because I've done a lot of RPGs and stuff where I have to read out the lines.
I was just doing that today, actually.
Yeah, and you get voices down, but I always do like a weird nerdy voice. It's like, "Oh, hey guys, how's it going? I'm just a big nerd." Like, because that, I don't know, I like that one. And I also do like a goth voice from like, "Oh my god, wow, thanks." Like that's another go-to. Those are my two go-tos. I wish I was better at doing like a Cockney accent, but like I can't do it without being horrendously annoying and probably offensive.
I don't know, like whenever I have to do anyone, whether it's like a guard or a bartender or something, I'm just like, "Roy, what do you want? How can I help you? Hey. Move along."
No, that's good. I'm convinced by that. Like I would just sound like the dudes from Monty Python and be like, "Hello." Just like no one wants to listen to that.
Which is funny because they actually are British.
I know, but I'd sound like when the guy always plays the like crazy like woman who's just like, "Oh no." That would be me. No one wants to hear that, so I try to avoid that.
I love it.
Maybe I'll get better one day, but it definitely needs some practice.
Oh man, yeah. I people are talking about that. I love making up character voices. There's actually a lot of voices that I have on my thing that I want to try doing more of, because I don't like. I have one villain voice. I have just one villain voice, and it's Illidan, and that's it. All of my villains.
It's like, "You are not prepared." And I'm like, okay.
Whenever I need a villain, it's like they're always like this. You know, just always like this, and I can't do anything. Like I don't know what else to do, because that's the only evil sounding voice that I have.
That's the other thing that
should I if I do something else, it's just gonna sound like him, like Illidan doing a bad accent.
But like that's the other thing that Chris is so good at, is he's so good at his voices. Like all the voices he does are all so different and they're all so amazing, and I'm just like, why are you so good at this?
Oh Lord. So I guess you were did you mention it? I guess what did it like? What are you getting up to in your home game right now? You know, are you doing anything cool? Is there anything interesting about it?
I doubt any of them are listening, so I can tell you the plot that I've written because they're I think they're all working right now, so they're not going to be listening. So the plot is, I love writing stories. I also love making maps. I'm like a huge fan of making maps and doing all that kind of stuff. And because Sigil itself doesn't, there's a one online where someone has kind of fleshed out the main map, but like in general, it's not very clear. And it's a shifting city. Things can change. So I kind of have to make the area that my players are working in. So I draw those maps. And they are going to the little hobbit area in Sigil, and I can't remember. It's like something like Tiny Foot or some weird name like that. But it's something like that. And there's a wizard there that they followed her into Sigil originally, and she was using beholders and spectators and things in her lair before. They only fought a spectator because they would have just died immediately.
That's generally why spectators get used at all.
Yeah, I know. So he
I
was
want a
watching.
beholder, but I need something smaller.
Yeah. And I also am working up to where they will fight the beholder, and I want them to be scared. So, so they know that she's in league with these like beholders, and she has a invisible mage tower in the Hobbit area. So very like she's a halfling. So in the halfling area, she has like this crazy invisible mage tower, and that's going to be a whole dungeon that I designed myself. I haven't done it yet, but it's going to be like a full layered dungeon. So that at the top, you know, they're going to end up like classically fighting her at the top. But I'm hopefully going to have some like fun plot twists, and then I want to work them into one of the Planescape module like actual books after that. So, but I still just love writing it myself. So I'm just really, I don't know. I just really love coming up with my own stories and my own characters, and I don't know. I might even think of something even better by the time the session rolls around. So
yeah, are you a when you write? Are you like what? How would you describe your style of kind of writing as a DM? Because I know for me, I am like all of my plots tend to be really, really like long and circuitous chains of like mysteries that lead to giant reveals that take way too long to play out. That's I just like I can't think in sort of more narrow terms than that. Like it's always just really long and roundabout ways to get to a thing.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of do that too. I kind of just start with like one like overarching theme. So I started with this halfling wizard is trying to gain the favor of a dead god so that she can challenge the Lady of Pain. So, and that's my whole plot is this, and I wanted her to be a halfling because they can, you know, they don't assume that she's super powerful. They only saw her cast very basic spells, but she's actually extremely powerful and has a connection to this dead god, which hopefully they're going to end up in the astral plane, you know, finding the bodies of dead gods and all this like super cool stuff. So I just like, I know where I'm going. I think my hardest thing when I'm writing is just like getting them there, because right now they're not high enough level to get to that super cool part that I'm planned. So I have to come up with some other smaller things for them to do before like they fight the big bad and go into the super cool stuff.
Do you so you write kind of like story chunks, or do you kind of like write things session to session?
Yeah, I kind of do both. Like, I'll even like narratively, like I will write the descriptions for each area. Like I'll write them out and just have them so that when they move into a different part of Sigil, I'll have a thing to read, just like if it were like a published module. So I'll have little things to read for each NPC and each thing like that. And then depending on what they do each session, then I'll write whatever else I need for the next session, because they might do something crazy and go to a whole different part of Sigil that I don't have a map for.
Yeah.
So if that happens, then, you know, I'll go and make the map for the next session. But
the urban, I find I've been doing a lot of the urban campaigns recently. On Friday, I'm doing Curse of the Crimson Throne, which is
cool.
set in the Pathfinder city of Korvosa, and I love because it's with the exception of one side excursion, it's entirely self-contained within the city. And it's been so interesting for me because I was used to DMing with a town map and stuff, but this like I do like then I started doing Writhing Moon, which is my sort of horror campaign that is very loosely based off of like Bloodborne and BioShock and a couple other games that I was playing at the time. And I have no map for that, right? Like I wrote what the city is like, but there's no actual map, so it gives me a lot of freedom to sort of create pathways and, you know, districts and areas and stuff to suit basically whatever needs to happen, which is, it's really like, I think it's my first homebrew excursion in a while. And I love like the whole urban thing has been such a change up as a DM for me, and I think it's become sort of like my favorite campaign style.
That's awesome. Yeah, I do really like it, and I find the only thing I find it hard to do is decide on how many like random NPCs I want in the city. And then I just overthink that way too much. And I'm like, they all have names. And I'm like, they can't all have names. Like,
do you have a table, like a random, like a table that you can use?
yeah, I have like a whole bunch. And usually when I'm DMing, I have an iPad next to me with all these tabs open with like random name generators and like random, it's like, again, I like oversaturate myself with information. And I'm just like, I need to wing it a little bit more because I get way too into like just having all of these notes. Yeah. So
I think I honestly I wing it a little bit too much. Like especially I can do almost anything on the fly except naming places. Like
oh no,
the names of like actual locations or things that when you have a thing that's supposed to sound cool, like it's a story element. It's just supposed to be a cool sounding thing. Yeah. And it's like I forget to come up with a name for it until like the second it comes up, and I'm like, oh, it's called the wait a minute, let me check my notes. I'm actually writing this down. Make this up. I'm actually stalling for time.
Cool castle place. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so I used to way over prep. My first homebrew, oh my god, I was awful with the prep. I literally wrote 2 pages of prose just to introduce the city that they started in.
2 pages, that's a lot. Yeah.
It was bad. It was bad.
I try to use like Curse of Strahd and like the modules that like have been published to inspire my own stuff. Because I feel like the way that they're laid out works so well, and I'm just like, okay, I only need to write like this much as an introduction. Like that's all people have the attention span to listen to. Yeah.
Oh no, exposition I can't do anymore because people will just tune out.
Oh no.
So I honestly, actually, it's become a problem because one of the things that I had to pull back on is I started like diving into campaigns with too little setup, right? Because I was like, no, don't do any exposition, right? Nothing. And then you get into and you're like, oh, I should probably have done a little bit more setup on this city and this town. And okay, now we're already in session 2, and okay.
They're like, well, we're here now, so this is what's happening.
It's it's a learning process. It's always you make mistakes and you hope your players don't hate you for it.
Yeah, exactly. I figure as long as everyone's having fun and they get magic items once in a while, everything's fine.
Oh god, I just talked about that. Who did I talk about that with Mike from Sly Flourish. We were just talking about loot, and I am awful with loot. I'm so stingy when it comes to loot.
I'm the opposite. I love loot. I'm just like, who wants a weird thing? Like, not all of them are useful. It's just like weird stuff, like a weird like jar with eyes in it or something. And I'm like, you take that. Like, oh, I think it's just because my character, like when I play Strix, like she always just wants like weird garbage lying around. So I always give them that option.
No, I love mundane junk, like art objects, stuff that doesn't have any real like monetary value, but is just like a thing that would make sense in this in this scene, right?
Absolutely.
And then if I really want to give a magic item or something, I will usually put it on the corpse of an enemy that they have to fight, like that they fought, right? That's how I deliver 90% of my magic items. Everything else is just like junk, like just weird seeming junk. And sometimes like my players get to the point where they don't even sell stuff anymore because it's like they don't like bartering, or just it's not worth it to barter. But I love when they take the junk and they find a use for it. That's my favorite thing that players do.
Yeah, I agree. That's like playing King's Quest. Like you throw a boot at a mouse to drop a thing, and like it's like that's like the typical like RPG thing. Like I really, really just want to add like some random stuff that if they take it, will just have like some super earth-shattering like thing. Like later, like they take a brick with them and they use it to escape a dungeon or something.
Actually, here's a funny story about that. So in Curse of the Crimson Throne, which if you guys don't know is, in my opinion, the best adventure path that Paizo has ever published. There is at the very early on in the game, there is a guy that he's leading some rebelling guards. The city is in the middle of riots and it's going to shit, and there's like this one guard captain that takes a few of his dudes and they make like a gang. Okay, so you go, you find him, you fight him, whatever. He has in his possession a silver dagger. That silver dagger all the players looks exactly like a regular silver and seems exactly like a regular silver dagger, to the point where they will most likely just sell it. What it is actually a thing called a Raktavarna, which is a silver snake that can transform itself into stuff and spy for a Rakshasa somewhere else in the campaign world. Like, that comes up later in the story. So if the players have it in their inventory, the Rakshasa who's off scheming in the high-level reaches of the campaign will always have an eye on them, right? But they don't know that. To them, it's literally just a silver dagger. That's later
hilarious.
on in the game, my players kept this thing. They never used it. They never sold it. It was just in their pack for, like, I don't know, 7 levels. And they finally meet or not the Rakshasa himself, his sister. And she, like, they made a deal with her, so she takes the Raktavarna from them, right? It literally just, like, slithers out of their pack, and they're like, what the fuck was that thing? Where did that come from? And they didn't know what it was. They had no idea. When I was like, no, you've had that in your pack the whole time. They're like, what? How? Why? Where? And I'm like, it was the silver dagger. They're like, what silver dagger? Like,
that's amazing.
So with your brick thing, like, you'll do that. They won't remember it's there. They'll be like, the what? The what that we took when? What was
That's
it?
amazing.
So it just, for some reason, the brick thing reminded me of that. And it's like, anytime I try and do something early in a campaign that pays off later, by the time we get there, they've always forgotten about it.
That's amazing. I actually have something in my campaign I could totally use that for, and it'd be super funny. Like, if it's just, like, some random object, and they just, like, kept them because they're like, I keep everything.
Oh,
so
Lord.
funny.
Yeah, it's the thing about it, about enemies like that that's interesting, is I find that enemies that tend to be really smart and scheming tend to be so far ahead of the party's thought process that, like, when they actually reveal their master plan all dramatically, like, no one knows what's going on.
Right.
And that describes my problem with how I write campaigns, basically. Shit. All right. So we're hitting up on 9 o'clock. You want to go ahead and switch over to some questions from the audience and stuff?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I could talk about DM stuff forever. So.
Well, I mean, that's actually my my Thursday show. I'm gonna be. So if you want to stop by, I do actually talk about DM stuff forever. Like it.
Nice.
We start streaming and then never stop.
In fact, you're still going from there.
Yeah, it's actually, this is the last episode. I'm still in it. So, all right. Why don't we're going to go ahead and do that. For those of you who are just joining us, by the way, thank you guys for hanging out, man. Thank all of you in chat for chilling with us. I'm hanging out with Holly Conrad. She's right here. You can see, we've been having some fun and talking Dungeon Master stuff and all that good stuff. It's Fuzzy Dice here on the Exploding Dice channel. We are going to switch over to audience questions in just a second, and you guys can ask, whatever you want. Just, the weird personal stuff we might beg out of, but usually we'll try and answer. We got a lot of questions last night about pee and peeing in a pool.
What?
One of the guests brought up that we were comfortably in the warm end of the pool when it comes to D&D, and so all of the questions were about peeing in the pool.
Great.
So, you kind of set yourself up for that one. But if you guys want to ask a question, make sure you tag @Exploding Dice in chat so I can see it. It highlights it in red for me so I don't miss it. But while we're doing that, I want to just let you guys know, if you haven't already, please hit that retweet link, man. Dice Thulu's got it for you right there. Tell all your friends. If you are enjoying the show, please hit that follow button. You can join us. We have 5 nights a week of role-playing content and talk show stuff like this, creative streams, 3 RPG shows. It's really, it's all kinds of great D&D content, and if you like the role playing, this is where you want to be. And if you really enjoy that show, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It's right up there at the top, or you can hit us up on GameWisp. You get a Discord role, you get some nat 20s and stuff that you can use in our live games, and custom emotes and all that goodness. That is just $5 a month to become Dice Thulu's minion. And thank you to McMillie and Orange Overcoat and Society's Armpit and The Gaming Story and TK has joined the fray and Ryujin Zero and Ninja Biscuit and a couple other people. I will read all these off at the end of the night for following. Welcome to the madness, my friends. Thank you for joining us. Let's we got some questions rolling in, so let's dive right into them and get at them. Let me just exclamation point fuzzy right there. Actually, yeah, there we go. So, starting off, oh, this is interesting. This is not D&D related, but Short Manian says, what are you... No, stop it. Says, what are your top 3 career achievements?
Oh man, that's a hard one. I mean, I've had such a weird career going from like special effects to like YouTube to like streaming YouTube. Like it's just really bizarre. I mean, definitely I would say, so I once made a kaiju costume for Guillermo del Toro.
Oh man, did you get to meet him?
I did, and I showed him my concept art for the kaiju that I designed, and he told me it was beautiful. So I was just like, I'm done, okay. So that was very exciting. That was very, very exciting. I still have my kaiju head somewhere in here. So that was very cool. So I'll stick with that one. Let's see, what would number 2 be? Ooh. Trying to think. It's pretty hard. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done a bunch of like really cool things that I'd say like I think are really like I think it's really cool. Like I was part of a documentary called Comic-Con Episode 4 of Fans Hope, and it was just following me and my friends cosplaying, and it was directed by Morgan Spurlock, who did Super Size Me.
I haven't heard that guy's name in a long time.
Yeah. And the movie, like it's about Comic-Con, and it's actually it's like a really good movie. Like if you ever want to like get emotional about Comic-Con, like it's really, really good. And like there's a bunch of stories, not just mine. It's like my story and then like a bunch of other people, like artists and stuff. And I think it's just like a really soul-felt like tribute to the like conventions. And I feel like that's something that I was really, really proud to be a part of. And I think the third thing is probably going to be coming up soon. I'll be really excited to. And probably Dice Cam Reaction is something I'm really excited about being a part of, like to be part of like an official D&D stream. Like I never would have imagined that as young Holly. So
yeah. I wouldn't consider any, like, I had a very different career before I got into streaming. I was a concept artist for a little bit, doing nothing noteworthy, just trying to use the degree that I went to school for. And then I got out of that industry because I couldn't handle the constant back and forth of having a job.
And it's like that industry, when I did special effects, it's hard. It's really hard in the sense that like you're working for other people, and it's hard when you're an artist working for other people because you can't really do your own art. You're doing their art.
It's not even art. Like one of the most, I think the biggest things that I heard when getting into concept art is like you're not making art, you're making product, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And it really is such a departure from like when you're in art college and you get to be creative and stuff. And also, I don't know if you had to deal with this. I had to deal with the the constant contract shuffle. It's like you have a job for 6 months and you get dumped back into the job pool with everyone else, and it was just not
when I did special effects, it was the same. Like I would not have solid work, and it was just like they would call me like, oh, we need you to stitch, like Disney costumes or whatever. Come do that for 4 months. And like it was just the work was just so scattered, and it's like you think like I'm going to be sculpting monsters for the movies, and it's like, no, that is not what you're doing.
And you're competing with everyone else who's like so much better than you. It's miserable. It's
because they sculpt and or do things every single day, and like I don't think at the time I didn't have that discipline. And it's like you need to have that discipline to continue to excel in that industry. So I just ended up being an internet clown because I was like, whatever, I'm just an internet clown now.
I went the same way. I was a chef for a little while after that, and it was soul crushing. And so now I stream on Twitch, and I'm not trying to make this my I don't know if there's a career anywhere remotely close to this. But if we're talking specifically about streaming, I don't know, man. I've been at this for a little more than a year. I think the high point of that is like getting to hang out and meet Matt Mercer. Like that was pretty cool. I don't know what else to do. I'm looking forward to making, hopefully doing many more really awesome things. Just hanging out with awesome people like this one right here. Am I pointing the right side? I don't know. I'm not looking at OPS right now. But thank you, Short Manian.
That's a good question, yeah.
Yeah, really interesting. T. Eva Potrons? T. Eva Potrons? I don't know how to read. I'm horrible at reading names, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Says, favorite Baldur's Gate moment? One or two?
I have so many. Okay, I'm going to go with two. Because there's this part of Baldur's Gate 2, which I just feel like is such an amazing thing to be put into a PC RPG, is that you, spoiler alert, you're the child of Baal, the god of murder. And you lose your soul to an amazing villain named Irenicus, who's a super, super great villain archetype. And he's like pretty much used to be an elf, as was stripped of his elfiness, and now he's just like a crappy person. And so he steals your soul, and you're like hanging out with your party trying to get out of this like labyrinth kind of thing. And your character, you lose control of your character completely. Like you actually lose control of your character, and you turn into the avatar of Baal called the Slayer, and you actually attack your own party, like as this avatar of Baal, and you completely have no control over your character at all. And I always thought that was just like such an immersive kind of thing for them to program that in there, to be like, okay, like you're killing your party and there's nothing you can do. And at this point in the game, like you're very, very, like you're dedicated to your party. Like you become emotionally attached to them. And I just thought that was a really, really great moment in the game. And there's so many other good moments. I love Minsk. Minsk is like my favorite character of all time. Like I can't even.
Yeah. Oh, it's been so long since I played Baldur's Gate. I was never good at it either, right? I was awful at the real-time pause games.
I loved that. It was so fun.
I was awful at it. I was playing when those games were out, I was playing Ultima.
Nice.
I was one of those kids.
Nice.
We were like the 1990s hipsters.
Nice. I just liked that I didn't have to talk to people. I enjoyed the NPCs were all just computer generated. So.
Oh no, I wasn't talking about not Ultima Online. I'm talking Ultima like.
Oh, the original
6
one.
and 7, yeah.
That's amazing.
I maintain that Ultima 4 is one of the best RPGs ever made. So again, another question: what is your favorite non D&D game? I'm assuming this is RPG specific.
I'm trying to think. So, I haven't gotten to play this one yet, but I really like the mechanics in 13th Age.
13th Age is really good, yeah.
Yeah, and I really like the mechanics. I really like how they streamlined a lot of things. I almost feel like there's a lot of like 5th edition that came from 13th Age.
13th Age has often been called what 4th edition should have been.
Yeah, I think that was actually when I first found 13th Age, when I was like, I'm confused. I'm going to read this other book. But I've been wanting to run a game in that, but I've honestly just kind of like tweaked my own 5e game to have some of the similar mechanics. So, but that one's really good. One I played in high school that was like really, really fun, which I haven't played since high school, was called Dogs in the Vineyard. And that was really, really fun.
Dogs in the Vineyard. I haven't gotten to play it, but it's so interesting.
Yeah, it was probably the most fun game I played in high school, because it was like, it involved so much like weird role playing. And is it about like Mormons or something? I don't know, like the original setting is like Mormons. Kind of cult.
Yeah, it's like a weird Mormonish cult. Right, assassins kind of.
I think we used like a different setting, but like the original one, I was like, is this about Mormons? I don't know. Like,
That's kind of.
It was just funny, but that's also really good setting. System.
My favorite RPG system, and I maintain this, and anyone who knows me knows this, is Big Motherfucking Crab Truckers. And
oh my God.
I will run it for anyone. I will play. Like my friend Speedy he had his birthday. We just turned 21, and he was like, "Hey, I'm turning 21. You want to run Crab Truckers and get drunk at midnight?"
Amazing.
And I'm like, "Yes." Any chance to play that, I will do it.
Is it a book or like what?
No, it's literally, you can Google it and you can it's 1 page of rules, and actually it's less than 1 page of rules. It's like there's one rule, and the rule is you tell a story, you narrate what's going on until someone, either the crab master or another player, stops believing you, at which point they say no fucking way, and then you roll to see who's right.
That's hilarious. That's great.
It's my favorite game because it's so ridiculous, and just the stuff that happens in it is amazing. And I think actually someone tweeted to me today that they said that they would tell me I should run it for the Dice Camera Action Crew. I'm like, hey, if they'll invite me, I'll make a stream out of that shit. I'll do it. I'll play with
that would be
anyone.
amazing.
I love it. So that is my favorite non-D&D game. I also like Mouse Guard. I've been getting into Mouse Guard a lot recently. Really, really good burning wheel system.
I don't know that much about it. I have heard of it, but that setting, it's like the Mossflower books, right? It's like...
I don't know much about Mossflower. It's basically, it's close to Redwall, a little less...
Yeah, that's it. It's the same same setting.
Yeah.
Same books.
It's different than Redwall. I was actually just talking to the artist David Peterson last night because he was on stream. And he was saying, he was talking about Redwall as an influence, but it was a comic. It was a pretty popular comic it's about mice, and they're normal-sized mice. Everything is normal size, and they have little swords and little capes.
Yeah, that's totally Redwall, yeah. I love those books as a kid.
And they play, they fight other animals, and they keep their mouse cities safe, and you play as the Mouse Guard that go out on missions and stuff. And because it's a burning wheel system, it's really, really focused on, like, character beliefs and ideals. And it's also it plays very different than D&D, right?
Interesting.
It's really the way the conflicts work out, and the way that role play and mechanics are sort of separated into their own kind of individual chunks. It's just I've been having a lot of fun with it, and I love that I'm gonna be getting a chance to be playing it very, very soon.
That's super cool.
All right, so there is that. Okay, GK Nolan says, how do you play Planescape? Do you play 2E or do you convert it to 5th edition?
Yeah, I convert it to 5th edition, which is not that difficult actually, because
no, not really.
Most of the stuff that was specific to 2nd edition Planescape was like really esoteric things about like how your magic changes for each plane, and I'm just like, I don't want anything to do with that. Like, I'm just like, nope. So
I haven't been doing 2nd edition, but I've been doing Pathfinder modules and stuff in 5th edition, and it's like, as long as you know how to, like, you just swap out the stat blocks and stuff, or, right, like, you subtract a little bit from the DCs, when they ask for a check or something, it's pretty, like, you don't need to do any prep work or anything, really.
No, I pretty much just kind of feel it out, too. I'm just like, I'm like, this person's AC should be this, or like this, I just kind of like feel it out based on like what level my characters are.
Once you get an idea about what your players are rolling for, like their attacks, what their HP is, what their AC is, you can kind of like, I use the Pathfinder stat blocks in 5th edition like straight, and if the HP or the attack roll feels like it's too high, I'll like subtract a little bit from it, but like no one is ever gonna know the difference, because like how would they, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Junkbot 3000 says, aside from sorcerer or wizard, what is your favorite class?
Sorcerer and wizard are my favorite, but I really like druids as well. So, sorcerer, wizard, and druid are all my go-tos.
I am pretty partial to. I'm kind of partial to rogues. I like. I like being sort of subtle. I'm not great at bards. I've never been, like, outgoing enough or charismatic enough to be, to even pretend to be a bard. So I don't really do that very well, but I tend to do sort of characters who think, critically, like rogues and scholars and stuff pretty well. So, and I just like stabbing stuff in the back.
Nice. Yeah, I'm terrible at playing paladins or fighters or anything. Like, I automatically just want to take books. Like, I just can't help myself. Like, I don't care about hitting things. I like running away, and I like taking books. So.
Oh, Lord. You would love if you being in one of my games where Broderick Quink, the wizard, is a character, because whenever my players look for books in his place, I literally just make up random things.
Nice.
Like he had an entire section on horticulture once for no reason. Like
awesome.
he had invented hydroponic gardening when they came into his
It's
house one
amazing.
day.
You're like, sir, what are you growing in here? You crazy old wizard.
Well, then he gave a lecture to all of his plants.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I just love wizards. I love books, and it's just, I can't help myself.
I tend to go crazy, like the crazy side when I do wizards. So plus I'm just really bad at working with magic. Like I constantly have to look up spells, and it takes so much time doing that. I'm just not.
I
good
do
at
that
it.
too. But it's like whatever. Like it takes time, but I like having my giant list of spells.
Yeah, when I have to
That's
do.
why I play a sorcerer, because I feel like I really like the character of just being like, I'm going to explode everything. That is my skill.
When I have to do an NPC that has like a spell list, I just sit in combat. I'm like, oh, what do I use? Oh, what do I do? I don't know. This one seems good. This one sounds cool. Look up what it does. Take 5 minutes. It's all right.
Yeah.
No one's getting bored. I promise.
No. Just eat your snacks. It's like-
Dark Fluffy Bunny says, have either of you had a DM that also played their own character? No, I haven't.
No, I mean, I've had Jared has DM'd for some friends and myself, and I mean, he hasn't had DF in the game, but he also is a player. So I feel like a DM would have like their own character in the game. That'd be kind of hard. I feel like that would get really hard really fast. So
Yeah. Also, there's just a stigma against DM PCs.
yeah,
Like, it's never. I mean, I'm sure there are people that can do it well. I just my rule is I don't trust you, and
Yeah.
you being the royal you to do it well, right?
yeah. That's an interesting question, because like I would love to have like Strix show up in my home game that's not filmed or anything, just for fun or something like that. But like I just don't think I would be able to play her as well as DM, because I'm in such a different mindset at the time.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be hard.
Yeah, if I'm gonna do that, it's like a character might show up as an NPC, but not full. I hate,
No,
I
yeah.
hate when players. Two things that players insist on doing that as a DM, I can't get around, and I hate doing, is when players insist on taking NPCs with them. And the other thing is that they, for some reason, every player in every game loves doing this, is making NPCs talk to each other. And it's just me talking to myself.
Yeah, that's hard. That is very
Why?
hard.
Stop doing it.
That is very, very
Please.
hard. I don't like it when like I've clearly like I think like I've clearly been like, there is nothing here. Like there's nothing in this end. There's nothing here. And they're like, I do perception check. I'm like, there's nothing here. There's nothing in this end. Like to the point where I'm just like, what am I supposed to tell you? And, okay, it's on fire. You have to leave now. Like it's like, and I feel like that's something like in our game, in Dice Cam Reaction, like we're very good at like reading Chris, where it's just like, okay, we don't need to be here. Like we'll just like, we leave, like it's fine. I think even sometimes he'll be like, you leave. I'm like, okay.
You narrate the players away.
He does. No, I feel like he's done that where he's just like, you are escorted away. And I'm like, nope, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
We're done here. But like in my game, I haven't found a way to like do that as tactfully as he does. And I'm just like, oh my God, there's nothing in this room. They're just like, or they think something is like a big plot changer or something, and it's just like some random object I put in the room, and I'm like, oh my God.
There's an old DM rule, and it's anything that you describe in significant enough detail, the players will assume is
Right.
like now relevant to the plot, even if it's literally just a tree.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah,
you pass
yeah,
a tree in the middle of town. Why is he why is he telling us about the tree? Is the tree important? There's got to be something wrong about the tree. Go check out the
did
tree.
And then I'll do that, and I'll say there's a tree, and then they'll just like, and I'm
No,
like,
they
the
don't
tree
care.
was
The
important.
thing that you want them to pay attention to, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's so funny. Yeah. Yep. It's great. Totally great. In the chat, Milton the Third said, "Stop perception checking the grain," and I'm like, yes, that's pretty much it. There's not like it's like some really
Wait,
mundane
I'm not
thing.
done. I'm not done sifting through it.
Yeah, they're like, what do I find? I'm like, nothing. There's nothing there.
The one of the things that I've actually in my home game I do is my players don't see the results of their rolls, their skill checks. So when they roll a perception, they don't know what they rolled. So they only know that I tell them you search and you don't find anything, right? Because then they know exactly what their character knows.
Interesting. That's smart because then that keeps them a little bit more blind.
I'm really big on pulling taking away meta information if I can, because I find that it lets them stay in character rather than be out of character.
Right, right.
And I've talked about that in much more depth than on other shows. So if you guys check it out on YouTube, you can find me rambling about that, I'm sure. Okay. Milton the Third says favorite Forgotten Realms race. Didn't they just add a bunch?
They did with Volo's Guide.
Is the frog people one?
I think the Grung.
Then yes, frog people.
I think so. I'm not sure. Those guys are great. I mean, I love Tieflings are my favorite always, but I love the Kenku. They're the ones that talk in only noises. The Raven people, they're pretty great too.
I'm boring. I'm a straight up human. I play humans. It's very give me a chance to play a human only game and I'll do it. I'll run that cat because I don't know. I like it. It's interesting to me. I'm boring like that.
I like being as messed up as possible. I love Tieflings because they're so messed up and it's so funny because our group is all human. Nate, Jared, and Anna are all human, and then there's Strix, who's just a dirty trash pile Tiefling, like demon child, just sitting there ah! It's just I love them. They're my favorite.
I don't think I've ever played a Tiefling, actually. I may have, oh, no, I did. I played a Tiefling called Red Song de Bard for a long time. I was an awful bard, by the way. I was the worst bard. As a DM, how much guidance do you give to newbies? Woodpanel asks. He says, do you kind of explain things as you go, or do players just jump in?
Wow, I think that's a good question too. So when we started the game that I've been running off camera, my normal game, I actually had, so Jared was there too. So we both kind of tag teamed all the newbies so we could help everyone.
In a good way.
Yeah, exactly. We would just be okay, Jared, you're going to help them make the character sheet and I'll explain this. And it was definitely a lot of work, getting a bunch, because they were all new. So it was very hard versus having someone in the group who's at least played once. But so I think I gave them a thorough thing. I actually have, I wonder if I have an example of it. The D&D Reddit has a bunch of amazing little infographics. So I got a bunch of these printed out for all of my new players.
Oh, the cheat sheet stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have all of the dice just in case they need to know. And I literally have 50
I love the
of these.
pictures of the dice. That's amazing.
Yeah. This was on the subreddit too. So, cause that was when I noticed with the newbies, the most common question was is this the D20 or whatever? So I'm just just so you know, right here. And then I have each combat, it tells you what to do, what you can do, your movement and your actions. I give everyone this little cheat sheet, and then that's kind of I feel that's my one neurotic thing that I do to help newbies.
Yeah, I like working with newbies, new players. I kind of try and ease them into it with some really basic beginner box stuff that I've learned, which is you kind of present them with a couple role playing opportunities. NPCs talk to them. Give them examples of how to kind of get into that, and then basically it's just kind of presenting everything in a very simplified way,
right?
And then if anything needs explanation, I just tend to I have no problem helping them out.
Yeah, and other players will too. It's great when you have a bunch of people at the table who are just everyone's friends and willing to help each other out, and
yeah, absolutely.
If they don't understand, we'll just stop and be okay, this is what we do here and here, so it's totally fine. And I've gotten better at teaching new people now too, especially since I've been doing it so much. So
Yeah, I mean, I honestly like there, especially with D&D, like there doesn't seem to be like I certainly wouldn't throw a new player into like my ninth level
No,
Pathfinder
yeah,
game,
yeah.
right? Like that's not ever gonna happen. But
Yeah.
for anything else, like if they're a new player, they're most likely gonna be in starting a new campaign with me,
Right.
which means we have plenty of time to sort of go over everything.
Yeah, absolutely. When I started with all of my new players, I set them up in a very simple, like, you're in a small village, there's like a problem, I did like I wrote like a whole little, like a small adventure that was a joke on the whole rats in the basement. You
Oh
know, like
yeah,
how you always have to go kill the rats in the basement. That's like
yeah,
a
yeah,
typical, like, so I made them cranium rats, and the cranium rats had taken over the town.
yeah.
And so they're all like super gross, and one guy was like possessed by them and all that. It was great. So that was my first, like, the first thing I introduced them to, and then I made them they found a mimic as well that I way under leveled, but like it was still super funny.
I haven't run like a real new player game in a very long time. But if I did, I'd probably write something weird and funny and like something kind of ridiculous, like not as serious or as gory or anything as like the campaigns I tend to run.
Right.
Actually an adventure. I had a couple newer players. I ran it on someone else's channel. Was called the Adamantine Chef. And it was basically Broderick Quink, the wizard. He gave the players a scroll, and he told them not to open it until they get to the Golden Palace, which is in the sort of China country on the other side of the world. And they were like, "Okay, how do we get there?" And he was like, "Well, you take a boat." That it takes a few weeks. It takes a few weeks, and so they're like, "What? What do you do? How do we find a boat?" And he's like, "Oh, wait, no!" And then he just poofs them there. Right, and so they go through this whole adventure and this other thing, and it's got ninjas and it's got food, and they have to escort this guy to this food competition, and then eventually at the end of the session they open the scroll because they get to the Golden Palace, which is like this golden place, and they open the scroll and it says, large spicy beef and broccoli.
Nice.
So like, did we just go across the world to pick up this guy's lunch?
Nice. That's amazing.
Whatever.
Everyone in the chat was asking for the cheat sheets that I use.
Oh yeah,
do
you have a link for that?
Yeah, I'm linking them. So
Oh,
I just
awesome.
linked it. It's just a little Imager link. And I actually replaced my DM screen with this Imager link because I think it's a better DM screen, and it actually has more things that I use, which is like, what are armor and shield stats? Like if they pick up a weapon, how much damage does it do? It's So I have this has been super, super useful for me. So you guys will enjoy that because it's crazy useful.
Awesome.
Yeah, because the regular DM, like the first 5th edition DM screen, I was like, this doesn't have anything that I use on it. So I'm gonna redo this.
That reminds me. I went to I did a giveaway, a Curse of Strahd giveaway with a whole bunch of books, and I wanted to throw in a DM screen to it, and I looked them up, and all of the 5th edition screens had like not useful information on them. Like I was like, what are you guys doing here?
I mean, maybe it is like for some people. I don't know. I mean, everyone's style is different, so maybe that's how some people DM and that works. But for me, I needed like I can come up with a name super fast, but I definitely need to know how much damage a pike does.
It's they're all of the the Strahd ones specifically, like a third of it was dedicated to that sort of isometric map of the castle, and I'm like,
right,
probably don't need this taking up this much space, right? Like probably don't need that. What I could use is some more information tables here, but so I'm a huge fan of custom. There's real cheap on Amazon. You can find those fold up DM screens that you can just slide whatever information you want in.
Yeah, and I think Firebringer Axe said, conditions are the most looked up thing for them, and that's why that Imager link, like all the conditions are listed. I'm like, yes, this is what I needed and also I need to know like. It has examples of certain things that players will do and what sort of check they need to make.
Yeah,
and that's
also
average something
DCs
I need to know.
too.
Yeah, which is also something I need to know. And it's just like, I know that's really, really boring, but I need help with the math. Like, I need help with numbers, and that's where I need help with. So.
Definitely, yeah. If you guys haven't already, go check out those links, because if you need some DM resources, and also just that Reddit, the D&D Reddit has a lot of great stuff.
They do, yeah, and also super funny stuff. I'll just like go there and just read people's stories and be like
Yeah.
in tears. Like it's so funny.
Where were we? We were here. Okay, so then let's see if we have another one. This Milton the Third asks, if you were the DM for Dice Camera Action, how would it go differently? That's such a complex question, I think.
Well, I mean, yeah, let's put it. If I had a DM Curse of Strahd, like, I mean, that was what we started with. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I can get the sort of like sinister fear.
You're not a horror person?
No, I love horror, but like the way that Chris did it was just so great. Like, I think now I could, from being in his game. Like, I feel like now I can DM Curse of Strahd like really, really well.
Yeah.
But like, I think when I first started, I was too nice. I was just like, oh no, everything's great, everyone wins. And now I'm like less afraid to be like harsher on my players, and not just harsher, but more, I guess, like cinematically scary.
Yeah.
So I think if I had done it from the beginning, it just would have been like a cakewalk, and Strahd would have ended up hugging everyone, and it just would have been super nice. So
Yeah, I can comfortably say if I were DMing it, it would not be nearly as interesting. And also, but after doing Writhing Moon, I think Curse of Strahd is one that I really wanted to DM. But ironically, when I started doing Writhing Moon, which is our open legend horror campaign, which is less Strahd and more, it's less Ravenloft and more Bloodborne, I guess, in tone. So when I was writing that, it was like, okay, I want to do Curse of Strahd, but there's Dice Camera Action, everyone else has done it to death. Like, it feels a little bit played out to me, right? Like, what would I do that would make this different or interesting, right?
Well, that's the other thing is Chris wrote it, so I'm like, I couldn't DM.
Yeah.
So, like, he writes his story, so
Yeah.
it's like there's no way I could do anything better. Like that's canon. Whatever he says is canon. So,
but after Writhing Moon, like, I had the itch to do Strahd itself, and because of all the vampire stuff that I was doing in Crimson Throne, and all the horror and stuff, the mystery and horror in Writhing Moon. I think if I did it, it would be very dark. It would be very bleak and miserable. Like, the players would never feel like they're having fun, because they would always be in this bad situation.
that's what it was like. It was pretty bad. Like, at one point we just like followed Strahd's like butler guy Rahadin, because we were just like, we don't know what to do, so I guess we'll just follow this guy with 1,000 screaming voices in his head. Okay. Like, so yeah, it was great.
Yeah, but I definitely want to get around to doing it, because I have the book, I have it on Roll20, and it's like, I'll do it eventually. I feel like I need to, right? I need to try my hand and see where it goes.
I would love to put my players through that. I feel like they know too much about it, because I've talked about our show too much, and I'm just like, you know too much.
Do you know, this actually came to me a little while ago, and this is some stuff that I don't know if I should talk about this on stream, but I had this idea. I totally want to start my players in, like, with, a campaign, and then just shift, like, just, hit the clutch and shift into Curse of Strahd without them knowing. Like, that would be how I would do it.
I feel like even when we started, like, I mean, you can get sucked into Ravenloft anywhere.
Yeah.
So, like, it's a perfect end to any kind of party.
But yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe we'll do it on the streams one day when there's more days of the week. That's
right.
That's my promise, is when because right now there's not enough.
I agree.
Oh Lord. Short Manian says, what is your favorite prop that you have made for your D&D game?
Oh my gosh, I've made so many at this point.
Really?
I made Strix's whole costume, so I have the whole.
Oh yeah,
costume.
That's right.
And I've also made Stinky her cranium rat. I also made I think probably I is Mr. Shambleface. So in our game we found a puppet of Strahd, like one of the Blinksky toys that's supposed to be Strahd, and it was a puppet. And our bard hated it, and it was great, and everyone hated it. And so I was like, I have to make this. So I doodled it while we were playing, and then I made the little puppet. Ended up bringing it to our live game, and I ended up giving it to Chris, and it ended up playing like a huge part in our story. Like he made it, that puppet, because like we had been so enamored with it, and I actually physically made it.
Yeah.
He made it how we captured Strahd. Like we trapped Strahd in this Vistani puppet, and so like I think that's my favorite because it's like it became such a part of the game.
See, that's the thing is I don't play any physical games these days. So any props that I make are basically just me messing around in Photoshop, and I'm actually gonna drop a link in chat if you guys want to see it. A Dropbox link that is a ritual page that I made a long ass time ago when one of my players died, and they found this occult ritual book, and so I made like 15 of these ritual pages
Oh my
for
god,
them
yes.
to decipher, because I'm not good at crafting. all I know how to do is doodle. So
That's awesome,
that's
though.
just what I do. So I think oh crap, did the link did that not come out? Oh well. Whatever. It was I linked it, but apparently it was just the Dropbox thing. Let me find the actual. There we go. Copy Dropbox link. Link is to the whole. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, and in my games, I hand out like menus and stuff like that. Like, oh, those are great. Those look great. What are you talking about? I love those. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's I love making I make maps in my free time. And not
Nice.
even
I
like
love maps.
not even like grid paper. Like I make photorealistic maps that take like a week and a half to a month
Nice.
to make, and it's horrible. And I don't encourage anyone to invest that much time or energy into a dungeon that your players will do in one session and then never see again.
I
But-
love this ritual page. These are fantastic. It's really
Yeah,
cool.
just weird occult stuff. Like I
Yeah,
just googled
that's my
a lot
jam.
of stuff. And
I like
just doodle it.
my medieval studies degree. I studied folk magic and demonology. So like I actually have like a bunch of like copies of like old demonology manuscripts
Oh,
that I
that's
use for
awesome.
my art, and I just like I collect them. I love them so much.
Yeah, I these days what I do, I sometimes do like concept like monster designs and stuff for because we so for example in Writhing Moon my players met an angel, which is more accurately described as an eldritch horror.
No.
That when I gave them this brief description, but at the end of the episode, like, no, you need to draw this. Like, we need to see what this looks like. And it's just this creature with like its face opens up in like petals of flesh that are covered in teeth, and it's got like a throat that's just covered in eyes. And
Nice.
I was drawing this for them, and I'm like, because that's what I love. I love creating monsters. I wish I had time to do more of it and do like physical. Oh, if I could do like physical props for my games.
Oh man. Like that's nice. Like I love minis. Like I love them. I
Yeah.
love minis, and I know how to make like villages and like buildings and stuff. Like I know how to do that, and I want to so bad. I just don't have enough time to do it.
Just cheat
Like-
and get the Dwarven Forge, man.
I know, but that's like, but I want to make it because I want to make the Mage Tower dungeon that they're gonna go through.
Yeah.
That's like my main like focus of the campaign I wrote, and so I want to make it really funny and like really weird. I want it to be like typical crazy mage stuff, like think like Sanctum Sanctorum, like that kind of stuff. So like I want to do that so bad, but I just don't have time. I'm just probably gonna just describe it.
Yeah, that's how my games tend to go. It's like I have these I get these ideas about what I want to do, and then I'm like, when are you gonna do this exactly? Right? Like,
No. Yep, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I'm remaking parts of Strix's costume right now and making her witch hat, and that's my main focus because I want to do I'm learning how to like wet felting all these things to look all gross and dirty, and like
that's awesome.
making her hat and doing all this like because I want more pieces to just be less drapey and more like structured. So there's always something I'm making for D&D, but I'm not making it for my players.
Oh, I see. That's the thing. Is one thing I wish I wish I could costume as a. I love wearing like getting into costume. I used to do really shitty Comic-Con costumes a long
Nice.
time ago, but these days, no, man, I can't afford it. I don't have the time. Plus, as a DM, like, how do you make a costume for everyone? It's like, okay, let me wait. Hold on, another NPC's coming. Let me go change.
Yeah, you can't really do that.
We'll be right back. Oh man. Short Manian says, if you could play a D&D session anywhere in the world, where with no limits on the set or anything like that, where would it be?
The Green Dragon Tavern in the Hobbit Shire.
In New Zealand.
In New Zealand, because I've been there, and it is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've been there, and it is, that tavern is, like, I don't even have words for that tavern. Because, like, the Shire is amazing, but the tavern is even more amazing, because it's actually, like, the tavern from the movies. There was a cat in it, like, the fire was going, and, like, it was, like, I was, like, I can't, like, if you could play D&D there, it would be the best.
I've never been there. I'd love to go there.
Oh, it's so good. Well, you have to one day. It's like, if you see it, you'll be like, yes, this is the best place to play D&D ever, because it is a tavern. It's like, oh my God, I can't.
Someone figure out how to get me to New Zealand, and I will run D&D there for everyone. I'll live there and run D&D professionally for the rest of my life.
You know, if they don't deport people, I would have just like been like, can I work here now? I'll be a hobbit, whatever.
Oh, Lord. I'll even wear the feet. I promise.
Yeah, exactly.
Do the people there wear the feet? Do they have to?
No, they I don't even think they dress up, like, just because honestly, like, the area itself is so insane.
Yeah.
Like, it's so accurate. Like, it's like the ultimate Renaissance fair. It's like, it's just real. It is the real thing from the movie. So you're just like, doesn't even matter. They could just be wearing jeans, and it's just like, I'm still blown away.
I honestly, like, I'm trying to think of a place that I've been that would lend itself really well to, like, a D&D game. But I don't, like, I mean, I don't really, like, there's a couple hobby stores I've been to that are really, like, have really insane gaming rooms, but I don't know, man. Like, I'll play anywhere. I don't really, like, it doesn't matter. I'll play out in the woods as long as it's with good friends and we have
woods, like, I have to say, camping, also a great place to play D&D.
Oh, yeah.
If you can't make it to New Zealand, camping is also a close second.
If it weren't for the bugs, DMing by campfire would probably be really, really cool.
Yeah, you gotta camp in California. We don't have any bugs.
I gotta do a lot of things in California.
Yeah.
One of the things is get there.
That's fair.
And again, I guess a follow-up, if you could play D&D with someone you haven't played with yet, who would you pick? Geez, so goddamn many people, man.
So a long time ago, before Matt was on Critical Role, he came to our house to a couple parties, and he would be like, oh, I'm going to DM for you and Ross. I'm going to DM. I'll be like, that'd be so great. Then he got on Critical Role, and I was like, you're never going to DM for me and Ross. So I would love to play with Matt one day. I know he's the busiest person in the world, but one day I would love to.
Here's almost exactly like that story. Matt was on this show way back. I had like 250 followers at the time. I don't know why he said yes, but he literally like sent me a message saying he would do it. And so we did the show, and immediately after that we're talking, we're like, yes, we should do it again. Let's do it. Let's hang out. And then right after that, his Tuesday show Talks Machina started, and I'm like, he's never gonna. No, none of them are ever gonna do this show.
It's okay. We can love them from afar.
No, I'm hopefully gonna bug him into maybe doing some D&D stuff at Gen Con, but I'd love to play with Matt. It's a goal of me to play with Vin Diesel one day. I don't know why.
Yeah.
He's an awesome dude, and I want to play D&D with him.
Yeah, that's pretty great. That would be sweet. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else who I'd love to play with. I'd love to play with someone like Guillermo del Toro. Like, I wonder he
seems like he'd be nuts.
Like, what would he be like playing D&D? Like him and Ron Perlman, because they're like best buds. That'd be such a funny D&D game.
Man, I'm such a Hellboy fan. I love that shit. I love Ron Perlman as Hellboy, and I love all Guillermo. Like his monsters and like everything he creates is. I think like the way he creates stuff is a big influence on how I think about things as monsters, like when I create stuff. So yeah, definitely like it, or just like to pick his brain about like writing something really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was so cool when I talked to him when I did that project. Like he just started like chatting with me about special effects stuff, just like totally chill. And there were like 10 Warner Brothers suits in the room, like 10 people who were like obvious, and they just like let him chat with me for like 10 minutes about like props. And I was like, this is great. Oh, he's a nice guy. I feel like that's why I feel like he'd be really cool to play D&D with.
Oh man, I had an experience like that with my favorite artist once at Comic-Con. It was like, for some reason he was doing a signing and no one else was there, so we were just chatting for like 30 minutes. And I'm like, this is the best thing ever. Why can't I do this all the time?
Nice. It's like when I met Tony DiCerlizzi at Gen Con.
Oh, yeah.
The one time I went, and I was like so nervous because I was like, oh my God, I don't get nervous about meeting many people, but like he's such a hero to me art wise. Yeah. And he was so sweet, and like I showed him my tattoo, and he was like super. I have a Lady of Pain tattoo.
Yeah.
And he was just like, oh, that's so cool, and he was so nice. And then like, it's so cool to meet people that like have creatively inspired you, and then they're like super cool. It's like, wait, I should meet my heroes when they're nice artists.
Yeah, I feel like if I ever got the chance to meet Wayne Reynolds, I would pick his brain about everything. He's the guy who does all the Pathfinder and the Eberron's cover art. One of my biggest artistic inspirations. British, so he doesn't ever come to conventions here.
Right.
But if I did, all right, why don't we take one more question here, and then we will kind of start bringing, cooling down on that. All right, this one's interesting. Milton says, what is your favorite NPC to include in a game? I guess tell us a little bit about your favorite character that you've ever created.
That I've ever created? That's an NPC in my games. Well, I mean, I definitely have ones that I've hated and have killed. I don't know, right now it's my little Kenku guy. Like, I think honestly, like, without the ability to talk, it's just been a lot more fun to have an NPC that I can just bother my players with, that they have to figure out what they're saying. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like the Dabus as well. Like I'll throw Dabus in there once in a while, and I'm just like explaining the pictures above their heads, which I'll have like a list of things that they can say, and then just describe the pictures, which is again crazy. It's in my like pile of books, and I'm just like, here you go. But I don't know. I think those are really fun. And in the past, I haven't really made that many like NPCs that stick around. Like that's something I'm not very good at that.
My favorite NPC that I ever played, and it's a shame that he wasn't more prominent and that he didn't have more to do and say, because just everything about him was hilarious to me, is when I ran Out of the Abyss. And there's if you've never played it, Out of the Abyss comes with a pile of NPCs that the players are in jail with, and they sort of break out of jail, and you essentially have this troop of NPCs that follow the party around, and you can sort of choose which ones stay and which ones go. And I don't know why, but there's a Kuo-toa named Shushar. Kuo-toa is a fish person. He's a very chubby, kind of pacifistic fish person, and in my head, I don't know why it went there, but in my head, I decided that Kuo-toa, when they talk, are very jowly, and my Kuo-toa sounded exactly like Richard Nixon, and which, by the way, if you've ever heard, if you ever heard him say, which is the name of the Kuo-toa city, it is the funniest thing to do for your players, because you have to keep saying it over and over, and that's just, I loved having him there because I got to do that over and over and over, just do every dialogue like this. And so that was my favorite NPC that I've ever got a chance to play. And I wish if I had an excuse to use Kuo-toas, I would probably bring him back.
That's amazing.
Fish people don't tend to fit many places.
No, they're not very common. No. No. Remember, like one of my games in high school, one of my friends was like a druid, and they were like, I just want to summon a shark. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, and they just used it to just like confuse people. It's just like letting it just like lie, like die, I guess, on the ground. Yeah, it's great. So fish, they're just not that useful or common.
It's just, it was, I mean, they're in the Underdark, but I don't know, like I said, I don't know where that came from. It just became this NPC that was insanely fun for me. I don't know if my players liked it. I know I liked it.
It's amazing.
So those are the NPCs that I tend to really, really like, is any NPC that lets me just take a ridiculous thing and just push the limits of it, and just anytime I can have a dialogue where I can't stop laughing is fun for me.
I have one planned for later in my game that they're going to meet in that mage tower that's just a depressed beholder. I'm pretty excited for that one.
Do you have a beholder voice though? You gotta figure out what beholders sound like.
That's true. I have a depressed voice, so at least I can do that one. I'm good at those.
I'll voice a depressed beholder. I'll do that. So.
Oh no, I'm a depressed beholder. Probably just sound like
that's just what he
dog
says.
Or something.
That's just the first thing.
No.
The first thing he says. I'm a depressed beholder.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, pretty on the nose there.
Yep.
Oh man, we're coming up on 10 o'clock, so I think that's probably gonna be where we're gonna end the questions. But man, thank you guys so much for all those awesome questions. Lots of really good things in there. Thankfully, none of them involving the word pee, which I am thankful for personally.
Same, yeah.
But we're not. Of course, we're gonna be. You know, we got some stuff to talk about before we kind of wrap things up. But man, again, thank you all for coming out, and a huge thanks to Holly for chilling, man. I guess as we kind of come to the end of the show, is there anything you want to talk about? Anything, you know, what you get up to online? Anything you want to promote, tell people about, or you know, just where they can find you, all that good stuff?
Yeah, you can just find me at Commander Holly on YouTube and everywhere else. On Twitch, I'm just at. Twitter, I'm at Holly Conrad. Everywhere else, I'm Commander Holly on Twitch as well. And yeah, I'm going to be doing a bunch of streams coming up, leading up to my one of my secret mysterious events. Ooh. Where I'm going to be decorating a dice book that I'm like one of those cool what's a worm or Elderwood Academy.
Elderwood. Oh, I love Elderwood.
Yeah, so I'm decorating a dice book to have Strix's symbol on it from her staff. So I'm doing a bunch of fun little props that I'm going to be streaming. So.
You want to see something cool? Hold on, wait. Since we plugged the Elderwood.
Oh yeah, their stuff is amazing. Like my books in the other room.
They are so cool. We have these right here.
They sent me one of those. They sent me a Cthulhu one.
Oh my god, that's awesome!
It's so
cool. we have our logo on them, and
that's so rad.
They literally, like, I just said, I asked if I could get one made, and look, it's got the name on the side.
Oh, that's awesome. They're so nice.
I asked if I get one made, and they sent me a box of like 20.
That's so awesome. Yeah, they just randomly sent me this, and then they were like, "Do you want anything else?" I was like. Okay.
That's it. No, yeah. I was like, oh my god, I might have to bulk order these so I can give them away. And they're like, or you could just email us. I love it so. Oh that's my awesome. God! And we got fucking McLoken coming in with the 100 viewer host. Thank you so much.
Oh yay!
McLoken, can I get a shout out from McLoken? The most slapping of butts is what he does. McLoken is an awesome friend, and he just got done streaming his show Chosen. I think Chosen? Yeah, Chosen. With Renee Renosa, is that how you say it? And a bunch of other streamers. They just got done with that game right there. It's an awesome show, by the way. I checked it out last week. It was crazy fun. Chosen, that's the one. If the link is in chat, if you guys have not yet, check him out and check that game out and check all of McLoken's stuff out. Lol Renee, yeah, that's the one. I'm really bad with names, but thank you guys for stopping by. I've been hanging out with Holly here, and we've just been shooting the shit and having a grand old time talking about D&D. So if you're just coming from watching some D&D, well, you can watch us finish a show about D&D.
That's true.
What does it smell like? I gotta know.
I was like, they smell so good.
Oh my god.
They smell like fresh pine.
It's like potpourri and a dice box.
I know, yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna decorate. I have one of their super cool spell books, and I'm gonna decorate it with. I do a lot of leather work too, so I'm gonna do like a leather.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like gold leather gilding of Strix's symbol on the front, or burn it. I don't know. We'll see, but I'm gonna decorate it to look like a tome. And then when I have the little like spell scroll coming too. I'm gonna make it so I can attach it to my costume.
That's legit.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that.
I love it. Well, you guys, I mean, we have been hanging out here. Make sure you go check out Holly. If someone wants to drop the Twitch link, the Twitter link, all that stuff. I think I dropped the Twitter link before, but go check her out. Show her all that kind of love, and check her out on Dice Camera Action.
Yes, come watch our show. It's ridiculous and fun, and you'll learn things.
But actually, don't watch that show because you should be here.
Oh no, because you're at the same time. Yes. Here, how about this? You just leave both windows open.
That's
leave both windows
perfect,
open
yes.
to support, but ours is on YouTube afterwards. So you can just watch ours on YouTube. So don't even stress.
No, absolutely, guys. If you want to, go show her some love. What's going on, Mick Loken? And we are, and of course, I mean, thanks for being here, man. I hope you had a good time. I know I certainly did.
I had a great time.
Lot of fun, a lot of great viewer questions and discussion, man. If you guys like this, we do this kind of stuff every single Tuesday here on the Fuzzy Dice Show. I have awesome guests. Next Tuesday, I'm actually going to be hanging out with the cast of the Girls Guts Glory show, which is another Wizards D&D partner show, and just really, really cool people. If you've never met them, and you can meet them, you can come check them out here. It's going to be a lot of fun.
They're very sweet, and they do excellent accents.
Oh yeah,
unlike mine.
I'm highly looking forward to it because I actually started talking to them, like, literally it was so weird. I started talking to them on in private right before the stream of Annihilation, where they literally like blew the hell up. And now it got so busy, and then we struggling to schedule stuff. But I'm so glad that they're going to be stopping by. But this isn't Tuesday. That's why I said you should come back next Tuesday. If you come back next week at this time, what you will see our cast and crew here playing Iron Gods, a science fiction fantasy 5th edition game, which is going to be a lot of fun. Season 2 is starting up. I guess since we're already in announcements, we just finished up our sponsored Dwarven Forge giveaway and our Wormwood giveaway, where we gave away a custom engraved Sentinel deck box and some other cool stuff. And we're actually taking
cool stuff.
It is cool stuff. There's like 3 different Wormwood things. And
I legit have had Dwarven Forge like on my tabs open to like one of their like city kits probably once every couple of months. I'm just like, I'm gonna get it today.
We gave away a full dungeon set, and then I got in touch with them for Reaper Miniatures threw in $100 worth of Reaper bones.
Oh my god, they're amazing too.
They are. I love the Reaper guys. And then Dwarven Forge is like, oh yeah, how about another set? And they threw in a painted set too. So we gave away 2 full sets, and then that was actually not this past month. This past month we gave away a brand new set of their Kickstarter stuff, because we were working with them, because I had the guys on the show, and they were like, yeah, let's do it. And so we got a dungeon set 1 for 1 lucky viewer. And there's going to be more giveaways in the future, guys. We're taking the rest of July off, but starting in August, I'm actually working with a company called Epixhaven, which is going to be, they're an amazing European producer of terrain. They make full, pre-painted resin stuff. I've got a big tower, it's like this big, that you can remove all the sections, and a big inn, and some other stuff.
I want all of these things. I want them all. You don't understand, if you're listening, any Dwarven Forge or anyone, and you want me to make a full-scale model of parts of Sigil on my dining room table, I'll do that. Well, I'll just keep adding pieces. I'll leave it there. I don't have to eat.
No, that's what your living room is for.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's so cool, and it's super cool that you give it away to people, because that is everyone wants that stuff because it's so cool.
I love it. I love being able to. I literally had this stuff sitting in my room, and it's like I have no use for it.
All your games are online, right?
So and I love giving stuff away. Man, it's too much fun. So we got the Epic Haven coming up. We think we got a Paizo sponsored giveaway coming after that. Also, I'm gonna be at Gen Con, man. If you're gonna be at Gen Con, hit me up on Twitter. Come say hi. I'm gonna be running. I have 4 games, one on each day, for Kobold Press that I'm gonna be DMing, and then after that, I'm just gonna be around the floor, talking to people, going out for drinks, all that good stuff. So definitely come say hi. And last, but certainly not least, we got Writhing Moon this Saturday. That's Open Legend Horror, and it is amazing. Last session's cliffhanger left everyone on edge, and that is after they... let me give you a spoiler. They all killed each other last session. It was a total TPK. They all died, and then they came back to life in the dream, because the dream is keeping them alive. So it is such an interesting thing. They're going back to one of the players' homes where he was tortured up through his adult life. It's gonna be nuts. And then Sunday is our first Mouse Guard episode, The Dark Spring. That's with me on the forefronts, that Bronze Girl, Simply JXN, and Drunkly Romantic. It's gonna be a blast. All that stuff, if you hit that follow button, you will get alerts along that. If you want to check out more, definitely get on our Discord. The link is right there. You can join the Bomb Squad, get updates about everything when we go live, all that good stuff. And if you really, really enjoyed that show and you want to help support it, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It helps, and any bit helps, and you get all kinds of cool stuff for doing it, and we love every single one of you. I think that is pretty much going to do it. I had a blast here with Holly. I certainly hope all of you guys had fun. We got rated, so why don't we go ahead and end the session by passing things on to another streamer. Let's go check out someone else who is online that we can just show the goddamned love to. Who is on right now? I don't know. I actually don't, because Twitch is being very, very laggy.
It's like, I don't know.
I'm stalling for time. You can't tell.
Everyone in chat can look too. Search for people.
Literally, I'm sitting here waiting for.
It's like, I don't know.
I have, you know what? I've been on Twitch for a very long time, and I am amazed that they can't actually make a less laggy site. Like, come on. You guys can do this, right? You can do this.
I'm just sitting here still smelling my dice case. And this smells like camping. It smells so good.
And then you know what you have to get is the I don't know if they're it's so hard to get in touch with them. There's a company called Artisan Dice that makes like dice out of alligator jawbone.
What?
And wood and stuff like that, and you can get those.
So I got some dice made out of rose quartz, which I thought was really cool.
Oh yeah, are they legit?
They are, yeah, they're awesome. Then they're like stone. And then I got Jared some for Dieth for his character that are made out of amethyst, which are really, really cool. Those I got at Origins. Oh yeah, Blue Jay is on. She's super nice.
I don't. She has numbers in her name, and I don't remember what they are.
Oh no!
I was literally gonna check Twitter. It's.
I'm doing a wrestling RPG with her.
She doesn't have it. It's not on Twitch. So yeah, why don't we do that? I haven't talked to Blue Jay in so long. So that sounds like a good idea. Why don't we go smash the love onto Blue Jay? I'm gonna put the raid link in chat. It's just !raid Blue Jay right there. I want you guys to hit that as hard as you can and make sure you say, tell her it's the Exploding Dice raid. Tell her where you're coming from. Show all the love. And as we do that, I think that is going to be it for us, guys. But thank you again for coming out. Big thank you to Holly. Man, you were a delight, and we hope to have you guys and the rest of the Dice Camera Action crew back someday, because we always love talking about D&D, and we want to keep the love going. There's the raid link, guys. If it would ever load, there it is. There it is. So that's going to be it. Thank you guys for coming out. We will see you next time. But as always, thank you for watching. And don't let Dice Thulu get his tentacles on you, because he gets very handsy when he does. We'll see you next time, guys. Take care, everyone.
Bye. Thanks for having me.